Hello there again, everybody. This is going to be Modern Jund League number 42. Very similar list to number 41, with a few differences in the sideboard. Same exact main deck. So real quickly, I'll go over the idea of what made this main deck. I'm playing 2 copies of Seasoned Pyromancer and a second copy of Kolaghan's Command. I haven't done that in the past, but I think now might be a good time to do this because since there are so many Uro piles pretty much everywhere, I think it is okay to slow down just a little bit and really focus on the multi for ones. I think the multi for ones may be more important on average than the various 1 mana interactive spells, which I have cut back on. I'm playing only 2 copies of Lightning Bolt and 3 copies of Fatal Push as my 1 mana ways to retroactively remove a threat, and then I'm playing my 6 hand disruption spells as ways to proactively remove threats or whatever I need to at the time. This is going to have me losing percentage points versus lots of the hyper aggro decks, perhaps versus stuff like Shadow and Prowess. But against the Uro piles, which are much more common, I expect the extra Kolaghan's Command and Seasoned Pyromancers to do well. Along the lines of I'd like to regain some leverage versus the aggro stuff and still not lose points versus the Uro stuff, I'm playing a 3rd copy of Scavenging Ooze. This is also a consideration that I usually like playing 2 copies of Cling to Dust, but I'm not, and I wanted another piece of Graveyard Interaction in the main deck. So I just threw in another copy of Scavenging Ooze as a way to fulfill that role of Graveyard Interaction, but also be good versus things like Uro, things like aggro if you have time to get it going. My card advantage engines today include 3 copies of Ren and 6 and 2 copies of Dark Confidant. I expect Dark Confidant to be very good versus mid-range decks and the various Uro piles, and it's going to be coming out versus all the aggro decks, play draw dependent. I like keeping the Dark Confidants in, I think, more than most people do while I'm on the play. Because if you can have the turn 1 interactive spell plus the turn 2 Dark Confidant, you can start attacking with it super nice and early, and then keep the interaction flowing while you continue to assemble more of the plan. On the draw, I do think it is too slow most of the time, but let's just see what our matchups look like and go from there. Still playing 4 Lilianas of the Veil, still 4 Tarmogoyfs, and still 4 Bloodbraids, the Jund staples by this point, and we're rounding it all off with a single copy of Terminate. The sideboard changes that I've made, I am playing Soul Guide Lantern now instead of Nile Spellbomb. Main reason for this being the new Oops All Spells deck that's around is that they have a really good way of killing you with their graveyard that you cannot target them with things like Nile Spellbomb when they have their Leyline of Sanctity in play, which a lot of decks are even playing 4 of in the main now. And we saw that last league I stopped 1 game short of a trophy because I had Nile Spellbomb as a way to deal with my opponent's graveyard, but they had the Leyline and I was unable to target them with all of their triggers on the stack. Soul Guide Lantern does not target the opponent when I sacrifice it to exile each opponent's graveyard. So this will be effective, hopefully, in disrupting the Oops All Spells decks, whereas Nile Spellbomb, a good portion of the time, will not. I also trimmed back on 1 copy of the Huntmaster of the Fells, so I'm playing only 1, and I'm playing a 3rd copy of Cleansing Wildfire. I'm not sure how useful the 3rd copy is going to be, but it was a viewer suggestion that I play more copies of this, so I'm just going to give it a shot and see how I like 3. I've already got a good number of land disruption, and now 3 Cleansing Wildfire and 2 Damping Spheres. I also expect the Damping Spheres to be good versus lots of the various combo decks, be it Neoform, Oops All Spells, and even Tron. Basically anything trying to just goldfish you and be a shit passing in the night. I'm going to hopefully slam a turn 2 Damping Sphere and laugh in their face. Still playing 2 Bitter Blossoms, really excellent versus any of the slow stuff. Brutality, that excellent versus most of the fast stuff and even some of the slow stuff like Urogs. It can take stuff like Factor Fiction and Cryptic Command. I usually swap this for things like Inquisition of Kozilek, because Inquisition on Kozilek already misses on stuff like Cryptic Command and Jace the Mind Sculptor and Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, all of that really big stuff. So for trade, we can trade in Inquisition for Collective Brutality which does hit a few extra of the cards that we care about, but it also has the utility of being excellent in a few other matchups as well, such as Burn against Prowess, stuff like that. So a very versatile card that even in matchups where it doesn't look like it'd be fantastic, it's at least better than something we're already playing. Bitter Blossom's still going to be really good versus the slow to the long game stuff. And then I did mention that I'm low on the 1 mana reactive spells. So in the event that we need to go up on those, I've included another copy of Fatal Push as a way to fine-tune the deck. So with that said, let's take a look at the current Modern metagame. We've got Uropiles still at first, followed by Rakdos Shadow still at second. Humans has been a pretty solid third or fourth spot. We've got Azorius Control. I don't know why it has this little red splash. I think a pretty recent list has had red in it for things like Lightning Helix, but some of the more recent lists don't have it. Mono White bursting onto the scene with the Skyclave apparition doing so well. We've got the Oath of Nisifel at our Guardians Heliori deck that plays new Omnath as well as Uro, of course, and all the various mid-range and combo decks that we've known to love in Modern for a while. Jund actually not even in the top 15 anymore. If we open up the menu a little bit more, there we are. So we're at, how many is this? 4, 7, so we're 21st spot. Not exactly ideal. Even Tron pulled ahead of us. Ew. But yeah, lots of really cool stuff down here, and but all the mainstay is still sticking up at the top. All right. So with that said, let us jump into a league. The opponent is going first. This hand's really borderline. I think I'm going to keep it. It's got our mana pretty well set up, and we've got a decent amount of early interaction. We're only missing one thing, which is the threat. Generally, I don't like mulliganing a hand that's only missing one thing, especially in the dark. Alright, that's a pretty good draw. I think I'm just going to go ahead and use the Lightning Bolt now. I don't want them to be able to activate this thing, especially if they've got something like a Flagstones available. I don't want them to be able to ramp off of it. And then next turn, we can Inquisition, play a Ravine unless something changes. Only like a Dark Confidant or a Tarmogoyf would make me maybe want to change my mind. And of course, there's the Tarmogoyf. So Misty, not necessarily, doesn't really detract from the hypothesis that they're playing the green-white Titan deck. In that event, do I want to just play the Tarmogoyf? I don't think they'd have any ways to remove the Liliana of the Veil in the main deck. If it was sideboarded, there's probably an argument to Inquisitioning now, so the Liliana won't get like purged or something. I think I'm going to get the pressure down while the board is empty, and then on the following turn I can Liliana. The issue there is like this Inquisition may not be worth a whole lot, because they're likely to have played what the Inquisition hits by then. But I like getting the Tarmogoyf down now, because if they play something like a Dryad of the Illusory Grove next turn, I can Liliana Edict and have an empty board with the Liliana and a Goyf, which does seem pretty strong. So now, is there any reason to stay above 18 life if they're going to like Scapeshift me? My mana is so good that I almost don't mind just getting basic Forest here, but I do have lots of black spells. Let's just get the Overgrown Tomb and not try to overthink it too much. Say yes. So again, I'm assuming they're the green-white Titan deck. another reason I think to get the Termaglyph down now, oh, there's the flagstones, is if the opponent gets to their 5th or 6th mana, it's pretty likely that Titan is just going to kill us on the spot. So I like getting the pressure down to really try to get the clock on them. And I think I should Liliana first. In the off chance they discard something like a creature, I go full attack for a little bit more. I'll just discard a Blood Crypt here. Discarding Blood Crypt will bite me if I draw exactly Bloodbraid, but I'd like to Inquisition and Terminate next turn. Like, if they play a creature next turn, I think I still want to keep on going up with the Liliana, so let me just get the Ravine down next turn. Alright, and Goyf does not grow, but we get to hit for 3. So again, if I draw exactly Bloodbraid, I'm going to wish I had kept the Blood Crypt. But if I don't draw exactly Bloodbraid, I'm going to wish I had kept the Ravine. And the odds I don't drop Bloodbraid are much higher than the odds I do draw it. Thanks for the cheer. Alright, so if I plus the Liliana, there's a chance that they discard the only thing that the Inquisition could take. So for that reason, maybe I want Inquisition first. But plussing first would mean that they may discard a card without the information that I plan on Inquisitioning them. I think I'm going to plus first and just really hope they don't discard the only thing. I mean, if they had a 3-drop, they probably would have just played it anyway. So, like, if there is something that I could take, it might be something like Summoner's Pact, which they wouldn't be discarding anyway. And then they could have Path to Exile as their last card, so I think I'm an Inquisition in their second main. Oh, they just didn't want to play it into the Liliana. Alright. So I'm going to, I'm going to do in the second main in case this would change their Path to Exile decision. Alright, I'm going to hope that they have something I can take with this. Alright, so yeah, that was the downside. We're even getting Titans next turn. Pretty rough. Got the Terminate for it, but they're going to have their Field of the Dead popping off. They're going to get 2 zombies. So yeah, it actually didn't matter. Like, obviously, it would have been better the other way. I mentioned the ups and downs of both plans. But opponent having second Titan and Castle means they could just discard a Titan and then have this play anyway. So we were dead pretty much no matter what. Let's just see what they get. Maybe it reveals something. Bog and a Blast Zone. Alright, we're dead. Alright, Green-White Titan. We're definitely going to be wanting the Ashioks. Definitely going to be wanting what? Looks like there's an argument for Soul Guide, but not even a great one. Huntmaster is a nice grindy card, but if we get to the point where we're top decking, any Titan kind of kills me. Cleansing Wildfire probably fine, not fantastic. Venom 6 doesn't kill a whole lot of anything. Neither does Kolagon's Command, really. I think I'm gonna cut 1 Inquisition. I mean, I am on the play. I could take things like the Dryads. I could take things like the 1/2 that we saw. I don't remember the name of it. Don't think I'm going to be boarding in another Fatal Push. These bolts do next to nothing. I mean, they're good for getting rid of the creature that I'm worried about, the 1-drop. Maybe it's better to, if I'm worried about specifically the 1-drop, Bolt might be better than Inquisition. Just because Inquisition gets veiled, whereas Lightning Bolt does not. But I do like keeping in a bunch of these. This seems fine. They're not really graveyard reliant, so I don't like the Soul Guide a whole lot. I mean, it does just cycle if it doesn't do much. Don't know what I'd bring it in for is the issue. I think I just like having these cards in the main deck. Oh, I have to change my current record indicator. My bot's not working. Cough, cough, Snapcaster. Alright, let's go first. Yeah, this is good. I almost want to just play Blackleaf Cliffs first. So that way if they have the 1 mana play, I can push it immediately and then still be able to play Goyfon too. So I think I'll go Blackleaf Cliffs first. I could go Verdant Catacombs first, so that way if they don't have the thing, I could just get my fetch out of the way. Because like I think I am gonna play the Verdant first. Reason being is if like I said, if they've got the 1 mana thing, I still have the option to over Entomb Fatal Push, and if they don't have it, I can get this tapped and still play the Goyf. Like I'm gonna be losing the life anyway. Like if they didn't have it, I would have been saving 2 life because I'm gonna be fetch shocking on turn 2 for the Tarmogoyf anyway. So this line had the potential of saving some life. Ended up not mattering because they had the thing that we needed to kill. We get to blow up a Field of the Dead. That's not nothing. That was a pretty terrible draw. Alright, well if we do this first, we'll add Sorcery to the yard. So let's add Sorcery to the yard. Liliana, that was a good one. Let's get the Ravine down. We've already got double black for the Liliana. Alright, it's shaping up. We've even got Ravine as a backup clock if for some reason they're able to remove the Goyf with something like a Path. But them getting another Forest off of the Goyf kind of implies they've already got the white. There it is. Inquisition, not bad. I mean, that was the downside to playing the Ravine, is if I wanted to cast 2 black spells with one of them being Liliana. Let's attack first. I think I'm still going to play the Liliana here. I think it's important to start getting the hand as empty as possible. Also, they could very easily have Veil of Summer, so I like making the play that doesn't immediately play into it. And I guess I'll discard a Mountain and then play a Blackleaf Cliffs. Please no Baloth. Foundry. Alright. Go. So it's not going terribly, but I don't feel great about this game, despite it going pretty well so far. Yikes. Alright, well, hopefully they don't have a Veil of Summer. Alright, and them playing it tapped means they don't. They just valued getting their fetch land cracked, so I couldn't like kill their thing in response. So this is a 4/5. I think what I want to do now is I'm going to Edict them and then activate the Ravine and hit them for 8, putting them to 3. This has me with 2 lethal attackers next turn, so they're going to be pretty hard pressed to deal with 2 things and be able to apply pressure of their own. Sacking a clue right now is a very good sign. Alright, well, I mean, if they've got a Path to Exile, it's going to be pretty unfortunate. Ghost Quarter even means they can take care of Ravine. Alright, well, I'm going to do this first because if they've got Veil of Summer, I don't want to cast my Inquisition into it and let them get another card. But Ghost Quarter is really unfortunate. It's effectively a 1 mana way to win, to beat the Ravine, but they didn't have the path, so pretty lucky. Alright, still don't really think we want the Soul Guide Lanterns. Again, the only thing that it really matters for is their 1-drop. On the draw, do I want the other Bolt instead of another Inquisition? I could definitely see that being the case. Like, I could have the push over the Bolt. Like, I definitely think I want one more reactive thing as opposed to proactive thing. But I think I want the one that doesn't get Veil of Summer. I mean, then again, like, if I'm worried about their 1-drop, it becomes a 3/4, right? Maybe I should just have the Inquisition. Let's play the Inquisition. It's pretty fine for clearing the way of a Path to Exile. Let's do this. So just running it back. Yeah, no 1 mana interaction, but we've got a Cleansing Wildfire and some decent threats followed up by Liliana. Being on the draw makes this worse, but I think I'd be hard-pressed to mulligan this. I don't really have an ace sideboard card that I'm digging for. So 1 mana play would be nutty. Unfortunately not. So I guess I'll get Stomping Ground with this, and then I can fetch a Swamp, and between that and Overgrown Tomb, I'll have pretty perfect mana. The only thing is if I want to play the Wrenn and 6 now, I can't plan on getting a Swamp, but I don't think I'm going to be playing Wrenn and 6 now anyway. It doesn't kill anything. So I'll get the Stomping Ground, and then I'll get a Swamp for Tarmogoyf probably. Does that change the play? I mean, it's probably really important that this Reclaimer dies. Yeah. So, like, this costs 2 to activate. So I think what's going to happen here is I'm going to wait for them to fetch, and then in response, I'll kill their Reclaimer. Pretty unfortunate we didn't have this last turn, but better late than never. And then ideally here they play something like a Tracker or a Dryad, and then we can Liliana Edict it. Just like tapping off for any creature would be the ideal scenario. Cool. It was like, oh, I guess they could have Veil of Summer. I mean, if they have it all, then they have it all. So I could take the turn off to Cleansing Wildfire their castle. The thing is they need any 1 land and a Titan to be able to Titan me here. The issue is that if they have 2 lands, they could also just play 2 lands. So it's like, do I want to play around the Titan next turn? Like, if I Dryad them, if I Cleansing Wildfire the castle now, it's harder for them to Titan next turn, but it's still possible. Or do I want a Liliana? Like, if they've got Titan in their hand, they almost definitely have the land for it. So like if I Cleansing Wildfire now and they go like land, and they're gonna draw a card up to 4, and then I'm gonna Liliana plus down to 3. The Liliana is not gonna erase a Titan in their hand. So I think what I'm gonna have to do is just get the Titan down now and hope they don't have the Titan immediately. And on top of this, I have to hope that they don't have Veil of Summer. Like, I could just plus on the Liliana, which would be another way to play around the Veil of Summer. That's not even crazy. I mean, they get to attack the Liliana for 2, but then I get to Liliana Edict the Dryad, and then if they've got the Veil, they're not drawing a card off of it. Yeah, I don't think plussing is even insane. Yeah, it's just plus. And then in terms of what I'm ditching, it's not Cleansing Wildfire, it's not Tarmogoyf. Run in 6 isn't even that valuable. I mean, I think I'm going to want the Planeswalker in the yard, actually, because that'll make the Goyf really big. Let's just discard that. I want this land. Next turn I'm probably going to Goyf and Wildfire, depending on what happens. Alright, so now I hope they don't have land and Titan, which is not super far-fetched. It was a taps land. Bolt doesn't do a whole lot. All right, so we're in the same situation as last turn, where we just really have to hope they don't have a Titan. I am gonna Cleansing Wildfire their Field of the Dead. So the question is, what other play am I making? Definitely gonna start on plussing. The Goyf is gonna do a pretty good job at stonewalling the Dryad. Issue is, like, if they have a Titan, the Dryad is gonna make it so that they can get Valakut and another land. They're gonna get a bunch of Valakut triggers. But I honestly don't think I have a clear route to beating Titan anyway. So I think I'm just gonna lead on a plus. And then what am I discarding? I guess it should probably be Bolt. I think I'm gonna want Scavenging Ooze as a backup threat. Foundry. So there's a non-zero chance I draw Thoughtseize off of this Cleansing Wildfire, in which case I think I'm going to Thoughtseize, because if they do have a Titan as their last card, that would enable me to take it. So I think what's going to happen here is I'll take a land out of the deck. Let's get second red and more green, so Stomping Ground. Like, we already have that. I do want to be able to cast Seasoned Pyromancer if I draw it. So I want to get a red source. So that would mean the only choice here is Blood Crypt. Let's just do that. If I do draw the Thoughtseize, I will have paid an extra 2 life that I didn't have to. But if I have it come in tapped, then I won't be able to play the Goyf if I don't draw it. Darn. 1 mana short of being able to do it all. I could just play that Liliana and plus, but I'm short on the mana. Alright, so I'm just going to hope that this last card is in Titan, and it is. Eldomri's Call equals Titan. Alright, well, I mean, we've got 2 removal spells. Unfortunately, they don't have a redundant land in play. They're probably going to have access to a second Field of the Dead anyway. If they somehow don't have a second Field of the Dead in the deck, we can Liliana Edict and Liliana Edict again, and then maybe be able to pull ahead. But this really hinges on them not having second Field of the Dead. I think the odds they have it are pretty high. Probably like Field of the Dead, Bajuka Bog, or they could also just get Valakut going, like I mentioned before. Yeah, and Field of the Dead. We're dead. Yep, Primeval Titan is that good. Something to note in sideboarding, I did have that lightning bolt in my hand, which I ended up discarding. Had I had my last copy of Inquisition in the deck before that lightning bolt, I would have been able to take the Eldamri's Call, which maybe lines up to a victory. So perhaps a sideboarding mistake. I mean, obviously in hindsight, it's easy to say it was a mistake. Pretty easy keep. I could get my fetch out of the way, but if they play a one mana creature, I'm gonna want to bolt it without paying life, especially since I can play the ooze painlessly on 2 after bolting on 1. Triumph. Alright, well, it looks like we've got an Uro pile. Wood of the Hill's pretty likely to get Stomping Ground, so I definitely need it to get second red, and I don't want to get basic. Basic, of course. So Ooze is going to be pretty strong versus the opponent in general, as long as they don't have a way to get rid of it early. It can mitigate Uros pretty well. Alright, and no Ren and 6 here is pretty big. Alright, let's lead on an attack. And then I think I will tap out for the Season's Pyromancer. Definitely not going to get basic Mountain, and I don't want to get Blood Crypt. So I'll get Stomping Ground and then keep a Swamp. Or I'll keep the Peatland, because that can convert to a resource later. It's also a way of getting second black and an additional green for the ooze if I want. Alright, so please no remand. Cool. So let's discard Swamp and Overgrown Tomb. There's an argument to just getting the 1/1 out of the bolt, but I think I might want the bolt to finish off a Planeswalker. I mean, I've got adequate pressure in play, but I like converting lands to things that aren't lands. Those aren't lands. Cool. So yeah, my hand looks much better than it did a second ago, thanks to the Pyromancer. Although, committing a 2/2 for an entire turn 3 in the modern format isn't exactly powerful. Filtering the hand was definitely nice, though. So I cannot Liliana and Inquisition next turn. So I'll have to decide which one is more important. Another Triome, Rogrin Triome. So maybe it's not an Uro pile. I guess it could be like Jeskai control, but I haven't seen that in a while. Maybe their other thing is just in hand. Alright, so yeah, it is 4 color. So yeah, almost definitely going to be playing this Liliana next turn, and then I can hold up Stomping Ground for either the Bolt in hand or the Ooze in play. The opponent didn't have to Fairy, which is nice. Just drawing all my basics today. Brutal. Alright, I'll play the Liliana first. If they discard a creature, there's a chance I want to eat it. Probably won't, just because holding up the activation on the Ooze is so valuable. Now you got the counter? Izzet Charm. Well, that's not super common. Alright, you've countered it. No spirit guides here. Kind of anemic clock here. It's gonna take a while unless I find something else. I do think I'll eat something of the opponent's end step. Most likely the Izzet Charm. They could be playing Ren and 6, in which case I want to get rid of the Tarn. They usually don't play Snapcaster as far as I'm aware, and they don't yet have the requisite islands for Mystic Sanctuary. This might just be an Omnath. Don't have an answer to the Omnath right now. I'm going to have to attack into it and then hope they block so I can bolt it. Verdict. That was unexpected. Nothing I could have done to avoid it, though. Let's get rid of the Izzet Charm. Now that they've got multiple lands in their yard, trying to fight a Ren and 6 is less doable. Alright, well, I've got the Pyromancer in the yard, which I can activate if I want. I would love to draw something to do here, but I don't. Maybe it's worth just cashing in the Peatland now. I think the upside of being able to play something this turn is going to be pretty high. Putting two 1/1s on the board doesn't seem super impactful. So I think I am going to sack this Peatland. And I'll tap the forests to do it. If I draw the other Seasoned Pyromancer, that would be good. Really anything would be good. I just need a creature. Another land, not good. That's an arrow. Interesting that they didn't shock that in. Now they can't Farseek. And then actually getting the Farseek cast is beneficial because that's the 5th card to escape to the Uro. I mean, they could still just do it. They actually only have 2 greens, so I think they definitely should have Farseeked here. This play is explained if the 3rd card that we don't know about is an untapped green. Gonna need to stop drawing these lands. Alright, I guess I'll exile the Pyromancer. Alright, I mean, even with the opponent messing up, I'm assuming this is still a mess up, but even with them messing up, I don't think we can beat the Euro regardless. Like, is it Charm? Is it Charm would work? Going for a Scapeshift kill? No idea what's happening. My guess would be Scapeshift kill. Alright, well, as long as they don't mess this up, I think we're going to get there. That is 18, right? 6 lands plus Valakut, 18. Alright, so Brutality gonna be good. Wildfire gonna be good. Ashiok gonna be good. We want Soul Guide Lanterns for the Uros and various Mystic Sanctuary targets. I mean, this could be a Bitter Blossom matchup. If we can stick it fast and early, it could do all the work on its own. I mean, it is an Uro deck, so I don't dislike it. They're not even a burn deck. Like, if I can stay above specifically 18 life, there's some use to that, because then a Scapeshift off of 7 lands can't kill me. But I like bringing in the Bitter Blossom. I'm not really going to be inclined to play the 1-for-1 game with Uro, so I'm going to take out all the spot removal. I need to cut 5 here. Definitely keeping all the oozes and goyfs. I like the Dark Confidant a decent amount to find the disruption. It's possible the Bitter Blossoms isn't going to be strong enough. I mean, this would be one of the scenarios where it's good, though. I'd like to make space for it if possible. I don't think Kolaghan's Command's actually going to be buying anything back. Unless I'm, like, discarding it with my own Lilianas. We saw Teferi Time Raveler from the opponent, so maybe that's a reason to take Bloodbraid out, but I don't think that's right. Like, if they don't have Teferi in play, Bloodbraid's one of our best cards. We didn't see much that Renin 6 actually gets to destroy, so I like trimming 1. I don't think it would be crazy to play a Bitter Blossom over something like Tarmogoyf. Tarmogoyf is going to be a much better draw late game, whereas Bitter Blossom is only going to be really fantastic early. I think I'm just going to keep the Goyfs experimentally. I mean, if I'm not boarding in the Bitter Blossoms now, then it's like, when am I boarding them in, right? Yeah, let's just cut a Goyf, and I guess 2 Goyfs for 2 Bitter Blossoms. Really want to see it early, but don't really want to see it late. Sounds good. Just all the Planeswalkers. So I will fetch a... I'm going to shock a Blood Crypt here on turn 1 in order to Thoughtseize. Make sure they don't have something like Force of Negation to counter any of my Planeswalkers. And then next turn I can fetch a Forest for the Renin 6. Alright, well... honestly, this Veil of Summer isn't going to be doing a whole lot. I think I'm going to take the Teferi because it makes my creatures so much worse. I mean, same with the Path, but the Path at least gives me some added value. Yeah, like the axis that their hand is interacting on doesn't fight on the axis that I'm trying to go on this particular game. So I like this position, at least for now. They are a Path to Exile deck, so there's a consideration to not getting a lot of my basics here. I mean, I could go all the way to 13. I think I'm just going to get a basic here. Don't think they're playing Field of Ruin I think their mana interaction is just their paths, or not mana interaction. Their ways to make me get basics are just path. So I think in the absence of Field of Ruin, I'm pretty okay getting 1 or 2 basics. Yeah, and then this Bloodbraid that I drew is making me happy that I took their Teferi, because like I mentioned, Teferi makes my creatures a lot worse. Buys them a lot of time on its own. Alright, so they're going to keep up the Veil of Summer, which makes sense. I guess in the event they have a counter, I'm going to want to make sure to play the Verdant. I could shock in the Overgrown Tomb, discard a land, and then get it back with the Wrenn. But if they have a counter spell, then I'm not going to have anything to buy back. So I think this right here is going to be the last basic that I'm willing to get on my own. I could even just get the Ashiok down now, but I think I like starting to go at the hand, especially because in combination with the Wrenn and 6, this is basically asymmetrical. As a consideration for Celestial Purge, maybe I should have, even before casting the Liliana, returned the Verdant with the Wrenn and 6. But if that were the case, if they had the Purge and they really wanted to get rid of this Wrenn and 6, they would have done it in response to the fetch anyway. Alright, so I guess like to conceal some information, I can return the Verdant and then just discard the Verdant again. This opens me up to only Lightning Bolt, but I don't think they're going to be playing it against me. Especially because I don't think they play it in general. No Baloth, please. It's so hard to play around Baloth. You kind of just have to hope they don't have it most of the time. Baloth is like Veil of Summer. It just scars you when they have it. Shock. Interesting. That could mean Izzet Charm, I guess. That's something that we saw that they wanted to play. Ugh. I guess I'll just play the Mountain. I mean, if I want to play, if I want 3 black mana next turn, I still have access to that by playing like an Overgrown Tomb next turn. I've got 2 already, and then I can shock in the Tomb. That's if I want to play like Liliana or Ashiok and another black thing if I draw another black thing. So let's discard the Verdant. I'll just keep looping that one with the Wrenn and 6. And then I'll go Mountain, Bloodbraid. Sure, I'm drawing a lot of basics this league so far. Alright, let's hit another creature. That one's good. They can cycle their Veil of Summer now if they want, but that's fine. Most likely use of this Veil of Summer, assuming they don't cycle, is I'm going to Edict like an Uro or something, but they're kind of far from Uro. I think if they'd had an Uro, they'd have cast it, especially because we know they have Stomping Ground, which can cast the Veil that we also know about. So I'm going to assume they don't have Uro, and I guess now they don't have Izzet Charm. So I think I probably would have countered the Bitter Blossom. So they did shock in this defense, then just not use it. That's interesting to me. Like I said, like I think it would have meant Izzet Charm, but then they didn't counter a Bitter Blossom, which tends to be pretty good versus them. Like maybe their hope is to burn me out somehow. Like I think Path Snapcaster would be pretty annoying here. I could Ashiok first, but I don't want them to like counter bounce something, so I think I want to use my Planeswalkers before anything like that happens. So I'm just gonna loop this Verdant Catacombs again. Right, it was as a charm. Alright, so if I Ashiok first, that lets me play around my throwing my Bloodbraid into a Snapcaster, but I mean I've got the Rogue anyway to block a Snapcaster, so I think I like just going to combat and seeing what happens. At this point, I only don't know about one thing. We've got some immense pressure going right now. So, I mean, yeah, I guess I'll play the Ashiok now. And if they like Cryptic to counter bounce, like it's unfortunate, but it's not even that tragic. Like I'll still have a Planeswalker with the ultimate ready. And I do want this activation actually resolving, so I'll target myself, so if they Veil, I still get to exile their yard. The way this is worded makes that happen. Alright, so do I now want to play Dark Confidant? I can shock, go to 11. I mean, the opponent has shown that they're playing Supreme Verdict. I think it's okay to hold it back. Like, I've already got Bitter Blossom in play. If they do play a sweeper, I think I'm going to want something to help rebuild. And I'm going to have to be careful not to pop off this ultimate in the face of a Veil of Summer. I mean, that would be a way to flush it out at a minimum. Don't think their card is Cryptic. Don't think their card is, I guess it could be like Scapeshift. I mean, I have basically as many Thought Seizes as I want if I ultimate this Ren. Alright, so now we know the opponent's hand. Yeah, this is probably fine. So I could just ultimate here and flush out the Veil, and then I can Liliana plus to get their last card. Have them on completely empty. That seems pretty strong. Alternatively, I could just plus Liliana, have them discard Stomping Ground. They'll have just a Veil, which like also seems fine. I think I like flushing out the Veil though, getting their hand nice and empty. Yeah. So they'll Veil me here. I think I'm okay just 1-for-1 trading if it means I get to play second Liliana right after. Like, this seems like a pretty hard position to lose from, them being empty-handed with only 5 lands in play. And now I'll just play out my hand so I'm not discarding a card. I have lost one attack step with the Dark Confidant because again I could have played it last turn. So a potential misstep, but I think we're doing well despite that. And then I can't Ash Jack them right now because they're under a veil. What's up, James? The project went well. Got submitted. No grade yet, but I think it'll be pretty good. Weekend was good. My girlfriend's family was in town, so that's why I've been pretty absent. I think they've conceded. All right. You didn't want to see my top card? Alright, I think I like how I've sideboarded. I think the only thing I'd consider changing is maybe playing more Tarmogoyfs, but I don't even know what I would change. Maybe I should swap for Seasoned Pyromancer. Just because Glyph comes down a turn earlier and having that 2-mana play is so important. I don't know. Seasoned Pyromancer still seems pretty good, especially in the top deck war. Like, Glyph is fine in a top deck war, but Seasoned Pyromancer seems better. Resubmit. Well, this hand would be very good with a second land. Unfortunately, with no way to guarantee we hit it, seems worse. I mean, we've got things to do almost for sure. But I mean, the Soulguard Lanterns aren't necessarily redraws. This hand is very good with another land. Thing is, like, if they have Veil of Summer on top of it, it's unfortunate. Yeah, I wish that's the way that America was as well. The best we can do is self-isolate for 2 or 3 weeks and then promise each other that we're not sick. Julio says Mole. Yeah, I think it's pretty close, but I am leaning towards Mulligan. Like, if we can guarantee a land on top, this hand is good. But if we don't, it's pretty unfortunate. Alright, this hand's better. Keep. Not bottoming Ren, not bottoming Goy for Bloodbraid. I think it's just the Pyromancer. The Pyromancer is probably the thing we want to play last out of this hand, so I'll just get rid of it now. Once again on the Planeswalker plan. Alright, so looks like a Blood Crypt here. Then we'll Peatlands, cast our Insects, and really hope it resolves. A little harder for it to resolve while we're on the draw, and they can have things like Remand and Mana Leak, but we haven't actually seen any of those quite yet. Could also force. Like, there's an argument to even Brutalitying now to hopefully clear the way, but it's such a backbreaking swing if they've got Veil of Summer and our entire turn is like negated. I think I'd rather just slam this and hope for the best. Because like if this resolves, I might actually be able to pull ahead with some more Planeswalkers. You're sure they play Remand? Yeah, I'm also fairly certain they play Remand. It's not uncommon. Yeah, maybe they were considering whether or not they wanted to force it or something. But yeah, getting a guaranteed third land drop is pretty good. The opponent missed their third land. Interesting. And we drew Bitter Blossom. Alright, well they didn't counter the Ren and 6. They didn't play a land. They could have Izzet Charm. I mean, if it's Izzet Charm, then I like getting the Goyf down. But there's something to be said about just getting more Planeswalkers into play. I mean, they didn't have Izzet Charm last turn. If they really wanted to Izzet Charm, they would have. They could have made their mana perfect even without fetching for Triome. I think this is an okay time to just slam another Planeswalker. If that's the case, which one? Definitely getting Stomping Grounds. I think Ashiok might just be better. Like, with their hands so full. With their hands so full, the Liliana has less value. Oh, okay. So it doesn't matter where I put this. It's getting shuffled. Alright, now I'm going to get Stomping Ground and then play the Ashiok. Alright, and then we hope they don't force. I don't know. We saw it game 1, which is why I mention it. Alright, and they did have the force. Pitching a Bring Delight. Alright. Yeah, like normally I wouldn't play around the Izzet Charm, but since we know that they're playing it, I'll play around it. Alright, so land would have been a good draw here. I mean, I think I'm just going to play the next Planeswalker. Then see if they have another force or remand. I mean, they didn't last turn. They had the Gust. But that was that. You like force me again. I mean, if you're going to keep 2-for-1ing yourself, I'm fine with that. If they had the remand, they'd have slammed it by now. Unless they like slow rolling. Alright, force pitching in a row. I mean, it's unfortunate that even though they're stuck on mana, they still are able to cast their spells. I'm not sure if the opponent is salting off or what. Yeah. Okay. Alright, well not the ideal land. If they've got Lightning Bolt, which I'm assuming they don't, was there a Path to Exile deck? It would kill the Tarmogoyf. But I think the Scavenging Ooze long term is going to be more important than the Tarmogoyf, so I think I like just getting the Goyf down, and then if they have the path, then okay. Like I could Bitter Blossom, but that plays into another counterspell. Maybe I shouldn't be playing around counterspell at this point. Yeah, the opponent's a little upset. For what it's worth, they're keeping it together okay. Like this is unfortunate, and I haven't had like the nuts, but I've had pretty close to it. Like I would have liked to hit a land a turn or two earlier, but that's about it. There's the land. Alright, I think I'm just going to slam a Bloodbraid here. We know the opponent is playing Verdict, so I don't think I want to Brutality into it. I mean, I guess I could Brutality first and try to take a Verdict, and then I could, if the coast is clear, play a Scavenging Ooze. The opponent is a little upset that they got stuck on lands, and then we had all the Planeswalkers, which they had all the answers to anyway, so... I mean, I get that Mana Screw is frustrating, but they've been competing regardless. So the Brutality line plays worse into an opposing Veil of Summer. I mean, it's probably best if I'm going to play the Bitter Blossom, I get it down earlier, sooner rather than later. So I think I will Bitter Blossom. If they have a counter spell that puts it in the graveyard, I definitely want to cast this first to make Goyf larger. Like, I think the opponent is still actually in this game. Alright, and then now the question is, do I want to cast another spell? I think I don't. I still think I want to hold this for potential Veil of Summers, and I don't want the opponent to just untap and verdict me and catch up. So I think I like holding back. Like if they play an Uro or something, hopefully I can ambush it with the Ooze. And then with the Bitter Blossom in play, I'm going to not really want to be tapping this Peatland many more times. So I think I'm going to be sacking the Peatland. I mean, it does represent a green source. Purge. Yep. So now I wish I had played another threat or at least brutality'd. Like draw 2, discard 2. Yep. And they left up the green Triome for potential Veils, I guess. Alright, well now that I don't have the Bitter Blossom, I like keeping the Peatland around more. Especially because I've got Scavenging Ooze. Like my mana is already pretty tied up in what I want to do, so I don't necessarily need the extra source quite yet. And then I think this is probably one of the better windows I have to Brutality. So their Cryptic is going to be ultimately the more powerful play. The Timely is going to be annoying, but it's not actually going to get to trade for a whole lot. I almost like just taking the Cryptic. It's like a matter of which one buys them the most time. I think Cryptic does it the most annoyingly because it also draws them a card. And then I think I'm going to take this turn to get the Scavenging Ooze down as opposed to casting the Bloodbraid because the Bloodbraid is better cast into open mana. Conveniently leaving the opponent at 1 more life than we're at, so their Timely doesn't actually gain them any life. Unless they shock like that. They don't want to do it. Interesting decision. Alright, so let's start exiling stuff. I can go down to 8 life to just really put pressure on their yard. Let's do it. Yeah, had they shocked, they would have been able to gain the life, but as it is now, they won't. I guess they knew they couldn't because I had the fetch in play, so scratch that. I guess let's just get rid of things that interact with my creatures. I want my pressure to stay long and strong. Alright, let's keep up maximum green. And a diverse number of colors. Sweet. I mean, the opponent plays Supreme Verdict unless they've taken it out, so they have an out here. The opponent continues to have nice words for me in the chat, unfortunately. So So we're at 3. This is 3, right? Yeah, 3, 4, 5, 8. Yeah, we can't get lethal no matter what. So let's just hold off on the activations. Alright, so we just need to dodge a verdict. Actually, that's fine, because they only have 1 white source. They can't cast a verdict anyway. I guess some number of like cryptics could bring the opponent back. But that's about the only thing. Like they'd have to cryptic to buy themselves a turn, and then between the cryptic draw and their draw step, they'd have to put 2 things together to start pulling ahead. Not impossible, but unlikely. Hopefully they're not just roping me. It might be, unfortunately. So I guess we've got some time to talk, huh? I guess while that happens, I'll get more water. Yeah, they're roping me. Oops. Big agree, James. Anything you want to talk about while we wait for the next 6 minutes? I guess it's like 5, right? Because the auto timeout is like 6 or 7 minutes. I don't actually know. Oh, they're back. So exiling the first thing is free. Yeah, I agree, Smirabito. The opponent's being a little excessively upset, though. Do I follow college football? I'm currently in college, so outside of my own school, not really. Which is UF, go Gators. But the most recent news is that our games are getting canceled because apparently like 20 of our players tested positive for coronavirus. So that's fun. All right, they found the concede button, which is good. But yeah, a lot of people at my job follow college football, so I've been considering trying to get an eye on it, but I don't know where to start. I already did the record bot. Thanks though. Yeah, this hand's risky, but it's quite good if we draw into the land. We've got Peatland to cast Thoughtseize we can turn to a Ravine. This is definitely on the risky side, but even if we stall, we've got stuff to do. Yeah, the coronavirus is really out of hand. Gemstone Caverns. The response, Electrodominance, jeez. The response that the US has had to the virus has been embarrassing. But hopefully we get some new administration pretty soon. Alright. So they've got the As Foretold and the Electrodominance. So both of these things are the enabler, although the As Foretold only enables something once. Albeit it is a turn slower, and they've only got one payoff, which is the Restore Balance. I mean, I think I'm going to take the As Foretold. Like, I'd rather than just have the one shot at it. Like, I could take the Restore Balance, which is like an actual hole that I can punch. But without some other piece, this Restore Balance isn't actually going to be effective. Like, if they Restore Balance with 2 lands in play, and I also have 2 lands in play, that doesn't actually seem like a super bad thing. No different with the UK. I mean, I hope that the people in the UK, administration-wise, at least listen to the scientists more often than the US's current administration does. Alright, so they've got an instant speed Restore Balance if they want it, as they had last turn. Brick. Yeah, I've seen a lot of pictures of European Magic tournaments going on, like paper Magic tournaments, and I've been pretty jealous of that. Although I don't really know the entire situation. I see everyone wearing masks during all those events. They have the Greater Gargadon. All right, that makes the Restore Balance actually worth something. Yeah, I have heard of Mr. Johnson. All right, so whatever we're doing here is likely going to be a one-shot just because they have the combo. So whatever we get into play now, we're going to have to try to ride. Alright, like this removal does nothing. Terminate might actually be good for killing a Gargadon, so I'll get rid of a push. Yeah, I guess it helps that Australia is a big island, right? It's only really plane traffic in terms of outsiders coming in. Oh, I didn't even realize they used this. Did they like draw 3 or something? They must have. For real. Go vote, please, please, please. Wait, what? Oh, they're doing this upkeep. Should have popped this out. Alright. They've got two. One is on, I guess, what is that, a 6 and a 9? Alright. Oh crap, I have to plus this Liliana. Almost forgot. Not worth a lot, but this deck is so miserable to play against. To be like very fair though, I did make the decision to not take the restore balance on my turn 1. So this could have been avoided in theory. I mean, I have to erase these greater Gargadons. Got one on 5 and one on 8. I mean, if I could scrap something together beforehand, like there's a chance I come back. Liliana's gonna keep their hand empty. I guess like even if they have like a land, they could sack it to take a counter off of the Gargadon, which could be annoying. I mean, if I draw like Green Source Tarmogoyf, that could be a way that I get into this. Yeah, but the Green Source would have to be first. I guess there's a chance I can get the Liliana high enough to survive a Gargadon hit, or if they just don't hit the Liliana, I can Edict it. Never know. I mean, the second Gargadon makes that plan kind of difficult. Liliana versus the world. No. Alright, I think I'm actually going to not plus now because hitting another land is pretty big. It's got to be a green land, obviously. Yeah, so yeah, James, those restrictions are pretty rough, but I mean, that might be what it takes to get us out of this. Alright, so they can bring in a Gargadon this turn if they want, which they probably should. Alright, and they have to use it to hit the Liliana, or else we just get to kill their Gargadon. They do have this other one coming off a suspend at some point. And then not plussing that one turn isn't going to actually impact what's happening here. Alright, we're dead. Yep, as Garfield intended. Man, free spells are really something. Alright, Damping Sphere is going to be good. Brutality is going to be good. Wildfire bad, right? Ashiok bad. I don't think Soul Guide Lantern matters for anything. I mean, let's just take out everything that we know is terrible. Like Bolt. I mean, they could be playing Crashing Footfalls, the thing that makes 2 4/4s with Trample. But that's about the only reason I would want Fatal Push. Is this card good for anything? Don't think so. I guess they could be playing Finale. The opponent is playing a combo deck using Electrodominance and As Foretold, which both say you may cast a spell with converted mana cost X or less from your hand for free, And they're doing that in order to enable the things that cost 0 but usually have suspend, so they take 5+ turns to come down. But with Electrodominance and As Foretold, you get to just skip those 5 turns and cast it immediately. In the case of Electrodominance, even at instant speed. So they do that to wipe your board and wipe your lands, because Restore Balance cares about lands, and if they have a greater Gargadon on suspend, they can sacrifice stuff to the Gargadon, sacrifice their lands to the Gargadon, and then also Armageddon you. Alright, well, Red and 6, probably one of the more important cards in this matchup. Just because if they do Armageddon me, it's a way to rebuild. Oh, you know this player? That's cool. I don't think I know a lot of players' names on Magic. Like, I know a few of the pros, but I don't have many people memorized. Alright, there's the Gargadon. Consideration to getting worse lands first, so that way if they do Armageddon me, I have access to better lands after the Armageddon. I think I'll leave the second Overgrown Tomb in the deck, but I'm okay getting the first one. And I do really want to get this Red and 6 down. Liliana, not a terrible turn 3 play. Combo decks in general, Liliana's pretty good against. Wheel of Fate. Alright. Alright, well, that's going to make Liliana look a little worse. But for now, let's just get to plussing. See if we can eliminate some options over the next couple turns. Another Wheel of Fate. Jeez. Needs to make it to include walkers so it's fair. That's an opinion. This is a Brazilian player. Oof, you want to draw 3 cards? Draw 3 cards. Alright, so I could go creature. That looks pretty bad in the face of a Restore Balance. But I mean, I think I'm going to have to hope that they don't have it. I could get the Ravine down, but that still dies to a Restore Balance. I think I'm just going to go creature here. I'll discard the Verdant and then immediately get it back. Save some info. Valakut's Awakening. That is an instant for my Tarmogoyf. Alright, and I mentioned I want to keep the other Overgrown Tomb in the deck. I'm playing 2 green spells, so let's get Forest. Yeah, I've heard lots of Brazilian players like to, lots of Brazilians like to play Magic, which is pretty cool. Alright, opponent, do your thing. I can't do anything about it. Fiery Islet, that's fine. As Foretold again. I mean, these As Foretold's are going to get dangerous after this wheel comes off with Suspend. Oh, they're just getting their Gargadon down now. They already found the Restore Balance. Brutal. Choose a card in my hand to keep. Let's keep Kolagon's Command. Yeah, they just exiled the Spirit Guide, I'm assuming, so I have to discard one more card. Terminate, not even a bad draw. This means I have a way to deal with the Gargadon after it comes down. I do think I want to keep plussing, which I guess means I'm discarding Kolagon's Command, which is unfortunate. But yeah, I think I should continue discarding. And then I'll discard Kolagon's Command. Yeah, I mean, I'm not even going to be able to cast the Kolagon's Command before the Wheel of Fate comes off anyway. Yeah, we're at double ultimate range, but the ultimate's not really worth a whole lot. Brutality, not great. Alright, we'll just discard the Brutality. Alright, so if they have the Gargadon come into play, we can terminate it. But I mean, whatever they draw, they can cast because they're As Foretold's. Oh, is this the turn it comes off? Did I miscount it? I thought I had one more turn. Alright, well, we don't get to terminate then. Unless we redraw it. Oh, it's a Wheel of Fortune. So it says like one counter on it now. I mean, double Bloodbraid Kolagon's Command is a good hit. It's a little too late for the Damping Sphere. I don't think I can afford to play the Damping Sphere, especially if I'm going to try to Kolagon's Command. This deck is so miserable. And they topped with that. Here comes Gargi. Yeah. I mean, as long as if they attack the Liliana here, I'll concede. Because we're on a 0 outer to get rid of the Gargadon. We could draw Liliana, but we're 3 turns away from it. So if they attack Liliana here, I'll concede. Yeah, turn 7 Cliff's still good. Not if they have another balance, which they did. I think I'd rather play against Drawn than that deck. Yeah, sounds good. We've been good till turn 10. Well, we didn't get that far, so it doesn't matter. Vault. Is it Merfolk? It's Mutavault pass? That's strange. Alright, well, they're probably playing some kind of creature aggro deck, so I think I like fetching for a basic here. Like, I can mire for a swamp, and then next turn I convert it for a forest. I may even want to fetch Mountain next turn for a Lightning Bolt, but I'm going to have to be careful with my mana situation if I want to cast this Liliana early, which I do. My guess would be Merfolk. I haven't seen Mutavault in a while. It could be some off-brand aggro deck. What? Don't know what this is. I'm assuming the correct take isn't Simian Spirit Guide. I mean, it could be Damnation. This is so weird. I guess it could be like 8-rack of some kind, but that doesn't seem right. This is so weird. Let's take the stone. Okay. So I could get Forest now, which would mean that next turn I want to get Blood Crypt. Although if I want to have multiple green for Ooze, maybe I get Overgrown Tomb now, and then next turn I can get Basic Mountain. That doesn't achieve anything though. That's still only a single green. So I guess I will get a basic here, but the question is, do I want to have a Blood Crypt and others, or an Overgrown Tomb and others? I think I'm gonna want Overgrown Tomb and a Mountain. So yeah, I'll Overgrown Tomb Goyf. Like if they want a Damnation, my Goyf, sure. Yeah, I mean, I guess the opponent is just like some weird control deck where they can like sweep the board and then have a bunch of these things that aren't actually creatures become creatures. At least I guess that's the idea. This is definitely a brew though. Not one I've seen before. Alright, well, this looks like a pretty solid Liliana turn, so I think I'm holding back the Tarmogoyf to defend it. Definitely not going to play the Lightning Bolt. Sorry, the Scavenging Ooze into the Damnation that I know about. And then another green source here makes it easier to just get the Mountain, because I'll have multiple green for the Ooze regardless of what happens. I guess things may change though, because I think I'm actually just going to discard this Tomb. I want to keep all the removal for their various shenanigans. I'm not going to ditch my backup threat. So I'll just plus and pass. Don't think they're going to be discarding Damnation. They might just discard their Spirit Guide. Yeah. This doesn't really seem like a Spirit Guide kind of deck unless they have some kind of prison element going. But I have not yet seen it. No play. Bob's good. I mean, it's likely to just get murdered by the damnation, though. Now what? I still think I need my spot removal for their various stuff. So that's plus. I mean, I think the Bob might end up being more valuable than the Ooze, but the Ooze will outsize their creatures. For that reason, I think I'm going to keep the Ooze over the Bob. I still really want the spot removal, because it looks like their whole plan hinges on their creatures. So I'll get rid of the Bob begrudgingly. I mean, I'm gonna let them. I'm just gonna keep on sitting back on this Tarmogoyf, because it's gonna defend the Liliana. The moment I attack with the Glyph, the Liliana's gonna take a bunch of hits. I mean, maybe I should try to like bait that out, because I've got the removal for their stuff. Like I need to start killing them at some point too, right? Discarded another Mutavault. So we're at a 4/5 now. This costs 2 to make a 2/2. Yeah, I mean, an attack might be okay. I do need to kill them at some point. And then if they make some number of attacks on my Liliana, I can kill their stuff. Ideally, they hit with 2 Mutavaults, because then I get to Stone Rain them twice. Definitely hesitant to play a second creature into this damnation. Alright, they're just going to pop off a damnation. Sure. So I guess no other land then? Yeah, because if they had another land, they probably would have tapped the Idol and then played the land and attacked the Liliana. But this seems fine. Cliffs. Alright, well this looks like a pretty easy Ooze and a plus. Guess I'll plus first. Discard that. So now it's Quilitis. Now it's a matter of, do I want to use my push or my bolt first? I mean, bolt has the potential of going to face, so I guess I should save that for last and use the push first. Although the opponent has demonstrated they're playing stuff like Quilitis, so maybe the revolt on the push may come up. So let's just use the bolt first. Especially because like bolt kills what they have going now anyway. Alright, and if they let me ultimate, I'm gonna ultimate. Got a pretty decently sized crowd here on Twitch. Thank you all for coming out. I appreciate your support. And if you're not already following, please drop that follow. I'd really appreciate it. Great free way to support my content. Chalice on 1. Alright, so there's that prison element, the prison element that we were talking about. Alright, so, I mean, if they're going to attack this Liliana, I'm going to snap off the block, because I think the ultimate is worth a lot. There aren't even a whole lot of creatures for this to get super big on. I mean, our hand does almost nothing, but I can heavily outweigh the Chalice with the ultimate if I want. And, like, we just need to draw any non-1 mana play to break out of this. Yikes. This seems like a decent pile. Get rid of 1 Mutavault. Like, you can have your black mana. Like, the other situation I could see being good is, like, give you a swamp, but I don't want them to have 2 Mutavaults. Let's kill a Mutavault this way, I hope. Definitely want to outweigh the Chalice to turn my hand on. Don't know what I would keep if I were the opponent. I don't know what kind of stuff they're playing. Alright, we got rid of the Chalice. And the Mutavault in the process. Not bad. Tarmogoyf. Land not bad. This at least turns on Bloodbraid. Don't think I'm going to need to double bolt for any reason. I'll have it come in tapped. Come on, deck. Not great, but it's something. Don't really see a reason to hold it. Like, if I draw a Tarmogoyf, if I could hold it to, oof. So I was going to say I could hold it to maybe, pair with the threat to try to fade a Fatal Push. Death Cloud is real interesting. Liliana. Alright, well, I guess I'm going to have to double bolt that. Yeah, I can throw one bolt at it and then just see what I draw. Like, if I find a Renin 6, I'm going to really wish I had not used the second bolt on it. If I find exactly Bloodbraid, it could get sticky. Because they may be wanting to block. I mean, let's just untap, and if we draw Bloodbraid, it's still good for us. Damn. That would have been another good reason to bolt. Do I still just bolt it? I think I still just bolt it. And then take my hit. So yeah, bolting first would have worked out big time. But I mean, we're in the dark. It's kind of hard. Like, if we drew like Renin 6, for example, I would have really wished to have not lost that other bolt. Like, there are about an equal number of cards. About an equal number of draws that made me wish I wanted to keep the bolt as opposed to ditching it. So if I shock this thing, I could play a 2-drop. But I think the odds that I want the life are higher. So let's just say no. Two mana plays. Sure. So I'm going to snap off a trade if they allow it. I think we're doing well. I mean, these 2 hits were very good. Gonna have to be careful of another Death Cloud, though. I mean, they're not even safe in my hand if their draw is Death Cloud. That's a Bloodbraid Elf. So how do I want to order this? I think I want to just get the heavier hitters down now. We know that the opponent is playing Damnation, so maybe I don't want to fully commit. If they want to trade a Mutavault for the Pyromancer, that's fine. So I guess, like, for sequencing's sake, I should have Tarmogoyf in the second main. Alright, let me not get utterly destroyed by a Damnation. Like, if they Damnation these 2 creatures, I have 2 things to rebuild. Solemn. That's cool. I haven't seen that one in Modern in, I think, ever. Ravine, not bad. I'm gonna jam again. Then I'll play an Ooze. I mean, if I was scared of Damnation last turn, like this play doesn't really change. But I mean, them buying so much time makes me want to add more pressure. So I think in hindsight, I would have been happy playing the Ooze last turn. But we're here now. Still need to ideally fade Damnations. But I mean, I don't know how many the opponent is playing in the main deck. They've already cast one. I would like to dodge another one if possible. That's fine. Gain a life, got a counter. Alright, we are presenting very close to lethal, right? 6, 9, 10, 11. Eating one thing and leaving one thing means Glyph grows. Yeah, we can eat Spirit Guide and threaten the lethal. Alternatively, I could just slam Bloodbraid and really put pressure on their man lands as well. I mean, leading on Inquisition is kind of free. It's an Urborg. Alright, I think between casting the Bloodbraid and activating Ravine, I like activating the Ravine. Reason being Damnation. I'll get to have the Bloodbraid in my hand if their next play is the Damnation. They can double block something like a Scavenging Ooze to kill it, but I think they take lethal if they plan on blocking. So this attack seems good. This is probably like a double chump. Maybe like kill a Pyromancer, chump this, take 7, go to 5. That still has them dead to 2 separate things next turn though. And even if they have Damnation, I guess they'd have to block with a Guardian Idol. Alright. Dodge a Damnation. Nice. Alright, so mono black control, I guess. Pretty interesting. I think the Fatal Push is going to be good. Issue is that we know the opponent is playing Chalices. I mean, if their primary win con is stuff like Mutavault, I could see Cleansing Wildfire being very good, just as another way to interact with that. It even gets through Chalice on 1. Huntmaster looks like it's going to be pretty excellent. The opponent did not have anything graveyard related going on, so I don't think we need the Lanterns or the Ashioks. Don't need the Spheres for sure. So it's, do I want Brutality and or Bitter Blossom? This looks like it could be a Bitter Blossom matchup. I mean, Brutality is going to take stuff like Damnation and Death Cloud. And Death Cloud is a pretty big hit. I think I do want the Brutalities. Running 6 doesn't kill a whole lot. Liliana seems on the weak side. I think I might just cut the Lilianas entirely. Issue with that is we know the opponent is playing Kalidas, Trader of Get, so I don't want to be left entirely soft to that. I mean, I'll still have the Fatal Pushes, which can hit it, but if they've got Chalice on 1, it can get sticky. I need 3 cuts. I mean, honestly, Renin 6 kills actual nothing. What if I just cut both of those? Like, it would be good to recur Nurturing Peatland, but that seems like its only good case. Ooze isn't even that strong. How does this look? This could be okay. Like, I could see wanting to bring in another Fatal Push, but I like the amount of removal I have for the threats that the opponent has. Let's give this a go. I could see the Bitter Blossoms being very good, but I think I'll for sure bring him in on the play if I lose this next game. Seems very good. It's soft to Chalice, but unless the opponent's got Spirit Guide, we should be able to take it. Bob, a nice pickup. So, I mean, Thoughtseize and Bob inclines me to want to get basics, so that way I can keep my life total nice and padded. So, let's lead on basic Swamp on Mire, and then we can use their hand to make some decisions. Let's take a Liliana. It's a last hope, but it's good enough for me to want to take it, especially in the face of this Dark Confidant. There's the Mind Stone we knew about. Pyromancer, not bad. So I could Thoughtseize here. And then play... And then like have the Fatal Push available. I actually don't mind that. Like, Goyf is going to outsize Solemn no matter what, but this Damnation is going to be tricky. I would really like to get Stomping Ground with this Verdant. I think it's probably too greedy to not just get this Tarmogoyf down. Like, I could get the Bob down instead. That actually seems even better. Yeah, let's do it. If they, for whatever reason, activate their Mutavault and attack, I'll trade for it. But I don't think that's going to be what happens. Yeah, Bob might bait the Damnation. That's also true. I mean, like, if they don't Damnation here, then we're also just very happy to be getting cards off of Bob, right? Alright, it has successfully drawn out Damnation. Alright, so I would love to draw a land here. Blackleaf Cliffs is best case. Goyf. Alright, I guess we'll just Goyf. Like, Solemn is annoying, but I think I'd rather get pressure down as opposed to Thoughtseizing and nothing else. This deck's quite interesting. I feel like Junda's probably one of the matchups it wants to see, as opposed to some of the other stuff out there. Yeah, missing the land is pretty unfortunate. Would have loved for the Bob to stick around. But now that the opponent is drawing this card here, I don't think that it's crazy to try to Brutality here. If we Brutality and Brick, it's pretty unfortunate. Maybe I should just Cleansing Wildfire. Like, it takes off their Mutavault, and like is another chance to hit a land. But if I Brick on the land, this whole turn is kind of moot. But like, if it's along the same lines, if we Brutality and hit nothing, it also feels terrible. I mean, I brought in Cleansing Wildfire to hit the Mutavault, so let's hit the Mutavault and then hope to draw a land. Still would love a Blackleaf Cliffs. On top Black Source, I'm probably casting Thoughtseize. Don't think there's a reason to hold it for much longer. Don't think the opponent's going to have a shortage of swamps. Seems reasonable. Yeah, I think so too. Darn. Boo. Unfortunate, clearly. Still in it, though. Hopefully we don't get death clouded. If we get death clouded, I think we just die. Oof. Alright, well, we can still Thoughtseize. Alright, well, I'll attack first. So that if they draw the card, I have the option of what to take. Yeah, I think we're in an okay spot until the opponent finds Death Cloud. You can have your monkey. Yeah, it's like sacking a creature and sacking a land is going to be pretty brutal. Yikes, come on, land. Alright, well, we know at a minimum this is going to take a monkey. Oh, okay, we're taking Fulminator. Change of plans. Hiya. Alright, well, if we hit 2 lands, we can Kolagon's Command to blow up the Chalice. I mean, as it sits, we're not doing a whole lot of anything. The opponent has drawn well. It's like Damnation into Fulminator into Chalice into Liliana. Come on, lands. I mean, we kept the 2-lander. We haven't found another one yet. Alright, for sake of time, we're not winning this game. Let's just go to next. Alright, so they're still playing Damnation. Multiple copies at that. Is it still probably worth it to bring in this Bitter Blossom? Yeah, we had no shortage of things we could discard. That's true. So I mentioned definitely wanting to bring in the Bitter Blossoms. No, I want the Brutalities for Death Clouds and Damnations. Kolagon's Command hits Chalice. Like, full disclosure, I don't even think Liliana is going to be very good. Let's just cut Liliana entirely. Like, they don't have any creatures for me to Edict. It's all just manlands and idols. And me discarding cards is actively contributing to their plan. Let's just cut the Lilianas entirely. I guess. If I had one fewer hand disruption spell, I think I'd chip it. You think Ren seems okay? I mean, it doesn't really kill much, right? Like, it's good for getting a bunch of lands back, which I guess against the Death Cloud deck could be good. Even versus the Liliana deck. So yeah, I could definitely see an argument for it. I just don't know what I would take out in favor of it. Like, I'd rather something that I think is good by itself as opposed to if the opponent has a very specific thing going. I'm going to have to hold off on green mana as long as I can in case the opponent draws a Fulminator. Jeez. Alright, well, I guess I'll take Chalice first. And then Liliana second. Like, I could even take Liliana first. Because, like, if I draw something that makes me not really care about this Chalice, I would have rather I have taken Liliana. Like, if I draw Goyf here... It's close. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm taking Chalice here anyway. Not gonna not cast this. Death Cloud is gonna be annoying moving forward, but I think Chalice is gonna take off more of my stuff. Actually, all right. So here's the thing. So the Chalice only really stops Inquisitions and Thoughtseizes, which from this point on aren't even that good, and the 1-mana interaction. In terms of like bolt and push, and like those bolt and push is good for the manlands, but now we have Cleansing Wildfire for that. I'm gonna take Death Cloud. Like, you can resolve a Chalice on one. That doesn't really mean a whole lot, at least how this is going right now. Like, sure, you have your Chalice, but your leftovers aren't that good. I'm going to save on the green mana in case the opponent draws the Fulminator off the top. Yeah, I've also have the K command, that's true. Alright, so I'll end step, get the green, and then play a Huntmaster. Mountain, pretty worst case draw. Right, but I mean, Huntmaster might just be able to get there on its own. It might be flipping back and forth. Ooh, that's good. I mean, the upside that the Huntmaster just starts flipping seems really high, so I think I should just get that going. Also, if they've got Fulminator, I think I'd rather the Huntmaster in play for the long term. So I'm going to lead on the Huntmaster. I haven't resolved the Huntmaster in like a year or two. Feels good. Boo. I guess. Alright, so let's Bloodbraid, I guess. I think ideally, what do we hit here? Like Bitter Blossom? That's a redraw, I guess. Damn it. We got bit. Alright, so I'll play the Peatland. Because if they like Liliana and want me to discard a card for whatever reason, I'm going to want to discard the Swamp. Alright, I think we're behind now. The opponent's got a lot of good ones they could draw now. Death Cloud, Liliana's. Solemn's annoying. Ideal case now, I think, is Kolagon's command. Goyf's a good one. So do I want to just let them trade here? I can't bolt it because it gets countered. I could sacrifice Peatland, but there's not a whole lot I'd want to do other than just playing Goyf. I guess I should just see. Well, that's the thing I'd want to do over Goyf. Por qué no los dos? Alright, now I think the attack is worth a trade. Yeah, Robot's really cool. I've never seen it actually played in Modern. Alright, so we need to fade more Damnations. We know the opponent is playing multiples. They've already used 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. I mean, I don't dislike this spot. Like, if they've got the Damnation, we've got backup Tarmogoyf. We haven't even seen any Fatal Pushes from the opponent. I guess they're not playing Fatal Pushes if their plan is to Chalice as early as possible. So yeah, they might just not be playing Fatal Push, which seems kind of crazy out of what it looks like a mono black control deck with Death Cloud. If they just Death Cloud for 3, I don't think I can actually win. Yeah, Death Cloud is the way they win. I'm going to have to apply pressure as quickly as possible here. Like Death Cloud for 3, discard my hand, go down to just a Blackleaf Cliffs and a Stomping Ground, wrath my board. Seems very good. Definitely have to fade it. That's a redraw. Not to a Death Cloud this turn, though. And then as far as playing around Death Cloud, the Goyf in my hand is just as safe in my hand as it is on the field. I guess not entirely true because it's less safe from Damnation specifically. But as far as Death Cloud is concerned, nowhere is safe. You would hold it and cycle the Wildfire. Yeah, I mean, that's one line. I mean, I want the Wildfire to get rid of Mutavaults. They could buy back a Sad Robot if they want. Shrink a Goyf. Alright, so we've got 6 powers worth of attacks now. I mean, if their plan was to sack the Mind Stone, I think they should have done it first. So we hit like a Brutality and they've drawn Death Cloud, then we can hit it. Alright, so we could take off this Liliana right now. So if we attack the opponent for 6, so we put them to 8, we can then replay Tarmogoyf, and we've got lethal next turn. We would still need to dodge Damnation and Death Cloud. So wait, we don't actually kill them, right? So if we attack them down to 8, they could buy back Sad Robot, use it as a blocker to block a Goyf. But that has them getting hit for exactly 8. Yeah, I think I'm just going to go at them and let their Liliana live. So yeah, Sad Robot does not do it here. It's got to be Death Cloud or Damnation. Like, I could just not play the Goyf, but then they make their Solemn Simulacrum play, and they just buy infinite time to try to find it. They get like 4 or 5 more new cards with all the time that I give them by not trying to kill them next turn. I guess did they find the Death Cloud and they're just trying to like empty their hand for it? Yeah, it looks like it. Yeah. They found the thing. Well, we didn't have lethal. Like, even if we kill her, right? Because they would have been at 13. We would have had 13. Yeah, you're right. So if I had held Goyf, kept 4 cards in hand, and then taken off Lily. Lily buys stuff back. I don't know. Maybe. I'd have to rewatch it. I don't have the scenario perfectly in my head right now. You get back a robot. Yeah, like they'd have to also not draw land. It involves a lot going right, but it might have been better. I mean, we could just drain him for 2. Puts him to 3. Bolt is not an out because of the Chalice. But a hasty Bloodbraid off the top could be a win. I mean, I don't want to kill this. Their thing is just going to come right back. Like, if they activate Mutavault and, like, attack for 4, then Bloodbraid is a potential out. Had 3 discards and 2 lands and Goyf still in hand. Yeah, it's possible. What did they do? Plus to nothing. Come on, activate your Mutavault. Yes. Attack both. Yes, give me outs. Give me outs. I've got 3 Bloodbraids left? 2. I've got 2 Bloodbraids left. And then Kolagon's Command still an insane draw. I want K Commander, Bloodbraid. 10%. Ooh, we did it. Okay. Yes, 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 yes. Why not have it all? Alright, so, I don't want them to have an answer to my hasty creature. Let's just, have them discard the card. That was great. Well, if I did misplay, here's further proof that there's no justice in the world. I mean, we were 10% to hit either K Command or Bloodbraid. Pretty nice. Go away, notifications. Yeah, it was Lizard. It feels good to hit your best case exactly when you need it every once in a while. Feels good. Yeah, the Death Cloud was gonna be a tricky one no matter what, but with the 4 cards in my hand, and yeah, with 4 cards in my hand, and the opponent ideally not drawing a land to pair with the Death Cloud that we also don't know about, then it would be better to it would have been better to not play the second Goyf. But like I said, like if they don't have the Death Cloud immediately, playing that Goyf, the turn that we did, shaves like 3 turns off of our clock. It was like the Liliana they have in play can buy back Sad Robot a bunch. But I mean, yeah, if what you're saying is true and I could have killed Liliana and then the following turn killed them with everything, which I think you're right, because they were at 13, right? And our Goyfs were 5 apiece plus a Bloodbraid. Yeah, I think they also top decked the Death Cloud. You won the die roll, pretty good. Spider Space, I've played this person before. Look at this hand. Look at this hand. This is good. Alright, so I think I want a basic swamp first. Yeah, I think I'm gonna basic swamp and then Inquisition. I'm gonna guess humans based on nothing. Well, I was close. Skyclave Apparition can deal with the Liliana of the Veil, which is very annoying. But I think I should take the Path to Exile because that is their answer to my turn 2 Dark Confidant. The issue with that is if I play turn 2 Bob, I'm letting them resolve I'm letting them resolve the Stoneforge Mystic or the Leonin Arbiter, and Leonin Arbiter is going to be pretty potent in combination with their Ghost Quarter. I mean, I think having the option to turn 2 a Dark Confidant is too attractive. I'll just take the Path. Bob's been pretty good. I've been impressed. I mean, the format I think is slow enough to where his time has been re-rising, I guess is the best way to put it. I don't know. Englishing is hard. It's been good. I've wanted to see it more often than I've drawn it and been like, damn, I wish this was anything else. Yeah, I'm hoping this Bob does well. And if we draw untapped black source here, we can hopefully slam a Liliana in their face. We can Thoughtseize the Batterskull if we really want, but untapped black source would be the nuts. And we revealed untapped black. Excellent. So they're gonna get to Arbiter and Ghost Quarter if they wish. But Dark Confidant already putting in work. Yeah, and if Death and Taxes becomes increasingly popular, Dark Confidant going to continue to be good. Spot removal? Okay, well, that will let me Bloodbraid now if I want. But I could just Thoughtseize, get the Ooze down, play Ravine, plus on the Liliana. Alright, I'm definitely plussing Liliana, so let's do that first. So I'm going to Ravine, Ooze, and Thoughtseize here, which means I'm discarding Verdant. There goes the Batterskull. Okay. Thoughtseize you. Wow, their hand's quite good. So they can jump their thing with the Maul of the Skyclave, so this Liliana is going to die no matter what. I don't actually have answers to their creatures. I mean, if I take the Maul... So even if I take the Maul, they can still just Flicker Wisp out my Ooze. This Liliana is going to die. Yeah, the Wisp does make more removal, but like when their thing leaves, I'm going to get a 2/2 back because Dark Confidant has a CMC of 2. Like, I like taking the Flicker Wisp. Like, taking the things that carry the equipment is attractive, right? The issue is, like, Leonin Arbiter combined with the Ghost Quarter is going to make it hard for me to cast Bloodbraid. So, like, if I'm taking something that... If I'm taking an equipment holder, I think it might just be the Arbiter. Flicker Wisp is pretty easy to kill. Like, I can even kill it with a Ren and 6. I think I'm going to take Arbiter. Yeah, like, I could try to Bloodbraid and, like, hit removal. But if I don't hit removal, it's pretty bad. So, like, now they kind of have to use this turn on the Maul to kill the Liliana, and then I have access to the exact same play. Jeez. Or they could just draw the nuts.
Yeah, this Skyclave card is the real deal. Alright, well now I'm not going to hold it back. Damn. So I mean, they've got like infinite things to equip their various equipment to now. So I think I'm just gonna take their most powerful equipment, which would be sword. But yeah, this is a pretty like their second Skyclave was for sure the best draw on the deck. Kill the Wren. Yep. I mean, let's at least pressure them, I guess. I mean, I'll attack with the Bloodbraid too. If they block the Bloodbraid, we get a 2/2. Like, if they want to attack all, we get to attack all back. If we find Bolt, we might be able to threaten something. I mean, we're not dead to just one attack, unless they also Flicker Wisp, in which case we were dead to another attack anyway. So I like the attack. All right, they're going to hit, like, take a counter off my Ravine, I guess. Oh. Yeah, that deals with it too, doesn't it? I need something good. I need like a Kolagon's command here. We're just dead to the Flyers. God, that Skyclave. Brutal. I think on the play, I'm going to keep all the Lilianas. On the draw, I may shave them. These Inquisitions and Thoughtseizes are such bad draws late game, which we're often going to get to. So I like going down to 3. Need to cut 2 more. I don't actually have that that bot set up yet, Oz. I need to figure out how to do that. I only have the deck and the deck list commands working right now. Honestly, Ooze is my worst threat. Let's just cut it. Like them resetting it with a Flicker Wisp also seems atrocious. Hand good. I'm gonna get Stomping Ground because the basic I'm most likely to want to get is Swamp, and then the combination of these two plus Swamp will have my mana being perfect. Red and 6 should be very strong versus the opponent, assuming no Skyclave. Oh, well, that'll deal with it. We can Liliana, which is the plan. The opponent could Skyclave. We've got another Liliana, if that's the case. Pretty clean turn so far. Yeah, the start is pretty good, I agree. Alright, which one do you want to go for? I might even just Brutality to kill the Skyclave and deploy a Tarmogoyf. That was a good hit. Let's plus first such that the opponent doesn't have information when I'm discarding. And I do think I want to just get rid of the Skyclave now. I could escalate it. Honestly, I think the worst card in my hand is this Pyromancer. It's also got value if I discard it, so let's just ditch it. Alright, so now... I could go Goyf, just apply the max pressure. Yeah, let's do it. Goyf. And then like next turn I can use the removal to leverage an attack. Like the downside to this play is if they have the Skyclave thing again. Because then they'll get to kill the Liliana. Ugh, more of this thing. Brutal. This card is so stupid. And by stupid, I mean great. This is like my favorite card of the new set. It's so good. Alright, I could just kill a Skyclave, which I don't dislike. It adds a lot of pressure on my side of the board. Let's do it. Like, not only does this enable a huge attack, it just adds a lot of pressure on my side of the board as well. And then I can, like, edict the single thing that they have next turn. This seems very good. Yep. Kill, hit. Alright, you're dead. Bye-bye, Germ. Oof. Alright, I don't think I'm changing anything in the sideboard, but I do need to use the restroom. So in these 3 minutes, I'll be right back. Oof. That was a severe junding. Yeah, felt like it. Yeah, we boarded out a good amount of the turn 1 hand hate, so this sounds great. That sounds very good. The mana is a little painful, but other than that, it's hard to complain. Well, the opponent has used like no time on their clock. They just, it's like if you have Skyclave Apparition, you just slam it. There's not much thinking you have to do. The opponent has mulligans at least once. Love drawing this mountain. Alright, well we've got it. We've got the Inquisition on the ideal turn, which is turn 1. Stoneforge. So they've got Glasspool Mimic, which is a 3 mana copy a thing or a tapped blue land. Alright, well the Glasspool Mimic only copies their things, right? Creature that you control. Right. Alright, so this means that Dark Confidant should do pretty well here. Go, Bob, go. Go, Bobby, go. Go, Bobby, go. They scooped. Alright. That was enough. Who was it who asked if Dark Confidant was good? Like scrolling through the chat. Dark Confidant is so good, we got the turn 2 kill. Alright, so for purposes of the recording, I'm going to do a quick deck tech / wrap up. So all in all, this deck performed pretty well. We had, I think, an above average number of awkward mana situations, but they all smoothed out over time. I still liked having only 5 1-mana removal spells. We didn't really see any matchups where it was super important to have multiple super early. I guess in terms of the threat package, Dark Confidant was absolutely insane. I think 2 is probably a pretty solid number, at least for now. I still like the 3 copies of Scavenging Ooze. I at least as far as this league is concerned, I never felt Scavenging Ooze flooded. They kind of have diminishing returns because, I mean, each activation of the ability is only attributed to one of the oozes, and they don't like each get the counters. That'd be cool though. The Run and 6s were still great. The Termaglyphs were still great. The 1 copy of Terminate came in clutch a couple of times. Kolaghan's Command was absolutely insane. The Pyromancers weren't fantastic, but they were good. Lilianas were still great, and the Blibberys were still great. I like being able to tune the main deck by bringing in an extra 1-mana removal spell, especially since I'm only playing 5 in the main deck. But I think I only brought it in once in that versus that last opponent, and we never saw it, but it's okay. We don't really... There's not really much to say. It's obviously not a super unique effect in that we already have access to literally identical effects, but I like being able to just throw one in to have that added extra consistency for finding the spells that are really important. The Bitter Blossoms were very good. We never won a game with the Bitter Blossom, but I think versus the 2 opponents where we resolved one, the opponent felt inclined to answer it immediately, so we only ever got 1 trigger off the Bitter Blossom, but even the opponent feeling compelled to answer it immediately is a testament to the potential power level of the Bitter Blossom. The Brutalities were very, very good. We brought them in versus that last opponent for the Kill a Creature mode, but in 2 of our other matches, the Take an Instant or Sorcery mode became very relevant, both versus the Uro opponent and versus the Death Cloud opponent. We brought in the Damping Spheres once, and we did not see them in time. We brought it in versus the blue-red Electrodominance deck, but we just didn't see it. The Huntmaster actually overperformed. We played it twice, and it did its job twice. The Cleansing Wildfires turned out pretty good. We brought him in to kill a bunch of Mutavaults. We didn't have any best case scenarios for them like Tron or Oops All Spells, but they were still pretty serviceable, not seeing either of those matchups. The Ashiok was very good. We had it. We brought it in versus the Euro deck, and it turned out to be very good. And we brought it in a couple other places, but we didn't see it in those other places. And then the Soul Guide Lanterns, I think we only brought in once versus the Euro deck, and we didn't see them. So kind of hard to evaluate. But again, I still like the idea of this. I definitely like having Nile Spellbomb or access to a similar effect in the yard. And with the emergence of the Oops All Spells deck, I do think Soul Guide Lantern is the go-to, just because exiling the opponent's graveyard does not involve targeting. I was one game short of a trophy in Jund League number 41 just last league, because the opponent was going off with their combo, and I was unable to target them with the Spellbomb that I had in play because they had a Leyline of Sanctity from turn 0, and I died as a result. So being able to not target the opponent and interact with their yard definitely seems pretty important. Unfortunate that you don't get to draw the card after using the Exile of the Yard effect, but losing the game is not losing the game, I think, is a lot more important than not getting your one card. And even in the case that you don't get the card, or even in the case that you can't exile the opponent's graveyard profitably, you could always just sacrifice it and get your card that way. Less valuable when you're not playing ways to recur it like Luris, but still completely serviceable on its own, and it does its job pretty well, in theory at least, because I haven't seen it happen. I haven't seen it be better than a Nile Spellbomb yet, but it definitely can be, especially in situations like I described where the opponent is trying to go off with a Leyline of Sanctity in play. What matchups did I use Huntmaster in? I brought it in versus the Deathcloud opponent. I brought it in versus the Death and Taxes opponent. And I brought it in versus the Euro opponent. And I think that's it. So yeah, that's going to be it for this Jund League recording. If you're watching here on Twitch and you like what you see, please leave a follow. It's a really easy and free way to support what I do. And if you're not following me or subscribed on YouTube, you should definitely do that as well. You can find all of my previously recorded leagues over there. Again, this is league number 42. So there are 41 other Jund videos already posted on my YouTube channel, plus some others, things like Jund Shadow, some Blue-Red Prowess, some Mono-Red Prowess, and a few other goodies thrown in randomly. So with that said, this is a long recording, so I'm going to go ahead and end the recording right here. But if you want to talk a little bit on stream, I'm going to stick around for a few more minutes while I get the recording going. So for those watching here on YouTube, I appreciate you stopping by. Thanks for the follow, Oz. So yeah, I was saying, yeah, thanks for everyone watching here on YouTube, and until next time, Jund them out and have a good one.